Our son Roy had a number of favorite teachers, and I'm probably leaving somebody out. Maybe his most favorite, I don't know. But I'm thinking right now about Rex EAVES, Art Madrid, Earl Painter, and Mrs. Troop. And I'd already mentioned Mr. Huckabee. Rex EAVES was his shop teacher, auto mechanics. And Roy really took an interest in that and really enjoyed Mr. EAVES and the class. Mrs. Troop was, as I recall, officially an English teacher, but she did the plays and the speech things. And the things he did do with her, I never heard anything but the highest compliments for her. But I want to talk a little bit more about Earl Painter, PE teacher, and Art Madrid, wrestling coach. Earl was a personal friend, as was his wife Paula. I'm deeply indebted to her for help on my doctorate program. We were somewhere together in a car going somewhere doing something. And Earl casually inquired if Roy had said anything about the PE program recently. That was a strange, loaded question, but I said, no. Why? Well, he said, we've been doing a little boxing, and he said, we have one boy from Forest Heights Lodge that's a little better than the rest of the boys, and nobody could stay with him, and I got to thinking of the fact that probably Roy knew a little bit about boxing, and so I matched him up. And he said, man, they really went after it, but Roy got the worst of it. And I just wondered if he'd had anything to say, any complaint, or if I was in any trouble with you and his mother. I said, kid hasn't said a single word about it. There's no problem. But you know how fathers are. I had to wait for an opportune time to raise the subject of PE and make an inquiry, and finally got around to, I hear you had a little boxing going on over there. Yeah? How's that been going? Well, he said, I do pretty well against almost everybody but one fella. Well, I said, how'd that go? Well, he said, I was able to stay with him for a while, but he's better than me. He said he beat me pretty bad. So I let it drop for a little bit, and I said, you know, I don't know that kid. Do you know where he lives? Because I think Earl Painter was also a little worried that there might be a backlash not only towards the PE program, but back towards Forest Heights Lodge. No, Roy said, I don't know where he lives. He said, somewhere around here, I guess, or he wouldn't be going to school here. The end of discussion, end of problem. Way to go, son. Way to go, Coach Painter. Way to go, boy from the lodge that if I was told the name, I don't recall it, and don't believe a name was ever mentioned. Oh, I did ask Roy if he thought he'd like to box the kid again. He said, no way. Once boxing that kid is enough. Now to wrestling and Coach Madrid. Art Madrid was a good coach, had lots of winners, had some state champs and so on. Going to the matches was always fun with a son that's a manager, and having gotten interested also with wrestling at the junior high. Well, I don't think we missed a single home match, and Don and I both were excited, loud fans. But I was always amazed when Roy would tell me before a match, if I had time to visit about it and ask him, he'd tell me weight by weight what Mr. Madrid had figured was the way each match should go if his boy did what he could do. And if a boy was badly overmatched, he'd tell the kid, now listen, that guy's tough, but your job is not to get pinned, so the other team doesn't get any 5-pointers. And then if the match was close, he would say, you know, it's your job to win it or don't lose it by more than a point. Right through the weights, every kid was being told, this is what I think you're up against and this is what I expect. And not in a mean way, but in a way that, hey, if we do our job, we're going to win this match. Pretty interesting and pretty amazing to me. Might not have been unusual in wrestling. I had never had any wrestling background at all. You'll recall that when the coach down there at the junior high in Alameda asked Roy to be a wrestler, the first time that either one of us had ever given a thought to wrestling being a school sport. Art MADRID made us rabid fans of high school wrestling.